Very excited to talk to you today. This film is so funny and so kind of kooky, but it also is something that I think about now too, because I'm sure dealing with actors too. You think about who do I want to be today? Like, who is it that I want to be today? Do I want to be a guy? I'm not good at accents, so whoever it is going to sound like my voice. But I could dress differently. I could be a longshoreman. I don't know. Perhaps I could be, from the Navy or some other, kind of world and come out to enjoy people too. So, when you first read the script and you saw Nick's character, Godfrey, who essentially is whoever he wants to be, what was the thought of freedom in that? Like your first thought when it came to that idea?
Well, our job as actors, a friend of mine, Mick Napier, said years ago, it's not called a bore, it's not called work, it's called a play. It's a play, it's a screenplay, it's a teleplay. So that's our job, is to play. And I think this script certainly emulates that idea of play, be who you are, be who you want to be. And you do have choices in life. So thematically, that's a lot of fun, right? And Nick's a friend of mine. He actually called me and asked me to be in the film. So that's actually how it came to be. I was working on a television show called Bless This Mess. And so I didn't have a lot of time. He said, well, we can shoot you over the weekend. So I flew up on a Saturday and shot all day, one day, Sunday, and did all my parts for the movie right there. So I guess for one day I got to be his boss.
I think he would take your teachings as a regular person. Nick seems like somebody who enjoys being around people who have their professional life in a, let's say, in a tight grasp. So let's talk about Bob. Let's talk about your character and kind of how he comes into this story and Godfrey's world.
Well, Bob becomes his de facto boss. He gets sent down from corporate to tighten up the ship, and finds out inexplicably that this character or this thing, this that is the top salesman, which is quite puzzling for my character. And then I don't want to give anything away. Maybe he does something that changes my mind in his own magical way.
And it's got a very, for the comedic fans out there, it's got your scenes almost kind of have like a very Office Space kind of feel too. So
Sure, I would agree with that.
yeah, and so truthfully, I could watch that show go off on its own. Like if there was why can't we have pick your own adventures movies? Is what my issues right
There
now.
you go.
Change to page 34, and we get to go see Bob and Godfrey go off on their own little road show and see what happens from there. So I think that's what we need in the next generation, and I think it's already out there, but I was excited to kind of see you jump into this as well and have some fun with it too. When you see these fun little movies that are about love and everything too, are you a cynical person? Are you a person who wants to believe in, that serendipitous love that's out there?
Absolutely. I don't have much cynicism in me whatsoever. Obviously, being an actor, you're kind of a dreamer anyway, and you believe in possibility. Because if you don't believe in it, how's your audience supposed to believe in it? So yeah, I believe in anything is possible. I
Well,
really
that's
do.
good. Well, and that's something that I think goes well with a lot of your characters too, because they have a very wide belief in pretty much everything as well. Who do you think the stuffiest character is you've ever played? The one person who you were
Stuffiest
like,
I've ever played.
just stuffiest.
Stuffiness.
Yeah, I'm sure people ask you the other way, but what's the stuffiest they've ever had you play?
I like that. That's a good question. The stuffiest. Um, well, he's a dichotomy. The Commodore in another period, which was you mentioned kooky earlier. That was a kooky show. So it's set, turn of the century, and he's supposed to be this button-down, stuffy guy, but he's a wild, raconteur when it comes to chasing skirt. But he acts stuffy quite a bit. There was maybe perhaps the character in Extract, who was this annoying nudge of a neighbor. You could call him stuffy, but he was so insistent. He was so bound up inside, and he couldn't let things go, and he was all about controlling. And when he decided to control your world, that was it. So, but I'm trying to think, as far as stuffy, I don't get a lot of that type of character to play. Erudite, stuffiness.
Right.
not necessarily on my range, but I guess that's as close as that might come. But it'd be fun to anybody that's buttoned down would be a nice departure for me.
Right. Well, the straight man role has its bullet points as well. Some of the fun things there. I will say though that one of the things I recently watched you on, thanks to the world of streaming, where I'm sure now as an actor you get people coming to you for so many different things, and it used to be like, well, that played on TBS or that played on TNT, but now it's streaming, so they can come at you from like every angle for any show at any time, right? Like everything's just so at your fingertips now. Are you ever surprised, or you're just kind of excited to see what connection they made with you on?
Yes, and it is fun to be surprised because you don't know what's going to be. Like, oh boy, what's this going to be? I remember a couple of years ago, my daughter and I were coming out of a Starbucks and happened to be right at an intersection. I saw this car slowing down. I thought it was slowing down for the light, and then the window comes down, and it's the lane right next to us, walking down the sidewalk. And I noticed it was two young girls, like teenagers, and I thought, well, this is interesting. And they yelled out, "Hey, Uncle Earl," which is the character I played 3 times on Hannah Montana. So that was kind of fun.
Well, and that's the thing. Like you're reaching generations here. I will say right now, if people are streaming, there's something that I think was a tour de force, if you will, and that was the commissioner in Angie Tribeca. Tell me about living a life in a diaper and booties and run and a chase scene. I mean, if you haven't seen it, anyone who's listening to this right now, you hear those words with this man, gold, gold.
I love it. You know what? Steve and Nancy Carell created that series, and they called me and said, "Hey, we have this role for you." Now I just said yes because they're friends, and they asked me to do it. Then I find out I've got to be running around in a diaper. So that was a departure. I remember Pete Siegel and who was the director of that particular episode, and he also directed Get Smart. I'm sitting there, and I'm getting my diaper changed by Rashida Jones, and I look over at him, and he looks at me. He goes, "This might be the weirdest thing I've ever shot." And I said, "This is the weirdest scene I've ever shot." So that was fun. And then later that day, I'm being chased around. We happen to be shooting in Burbank, and someone's chasing me outside in the diaper. And what's Hayes? He's chasing me in the diaper. And I remember later that day, I saw a tweet that someone said, "I think I just saw David Koechner running around the streets of Burbank in a diaper." Oh, that was a good one.
Right. Well, we're just gonna say it was heat stroke or something like that, right? It was never
No,
anything bad.
it's show business, baby. I love it.
That
See,
is
our
the
job is
gold.
to play.
That is the goal. And you know what? Another thing I love what you play as well is a lot of your voice work as well. Anything from Beavis and Butthead to we go back to Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. I mean, there's a lot of fun levels to all that too. But I do want to ask, have you been asked to do any voice work for the upcoming Beavis and Butthead? Because they're reviving it, of course. We saw Paramount Plus and all
I
that.
have not. I have not. So we'll see. Why did I play security guard and probably a boss? What do I do? I do F is for Family, which is we were talking about a feather in your cap earlier.
Bill
To
Burr, yeah.
get to work on a project, with Bill Burr and Michael Price is that's an honor. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. That's an honor. When you look at your resume and things you point to and you're really proud of, and not to say that you're not proud of everything, but you're not, that's a real cool credit. Because as an actor, you're only like, oh, I'd like to have been in that. I try not to ever be covetous of someone else's work in a bad way. I never think to myself, why didn't I get that? Because it's really destructive. But when you look at something, and there's projects like The Simpsons. Every actor in Hollywood would love to do a voice on The Simpsons, and you're like, wow, I got to do a Simpsons. But for me, I got to do F is for Family. To me, is just as good, just as equal. So that's it's a point of pride for me, certainly.
Well, and there's different. That's the beauty of animated too, is they can go anywhere, and once you find the character, you want to go along with that journey as well. So that's I think that's where the fun part of all that is too. And like I said, yeah, there's so many fun stuff. Captain Underpants too. There's a lot of fun,
Oh yeah,
voice work there too. So that's where you find all your demographics. All your
yeah.
demographics out there. What is it like to you have Bless This Mess. You've had Superior Donuts. You had I think the Goldbergs too right now is out. So what's it like kind of coming into those shows and these new families? I mean, with a movie, it's kind of like finite a little bit, but with a TV show, it's like these are people now who I have to see all the time, and I have to, let's get together and let's make something great. What's it like jumping into those worlds?
In comedies, more often than not, you're pretty much blessed with people who are all about having fun and having a good time. I haven't worked a lot of dramas, and I've never been on drama series, and that can be a difficult concern because you're dealing with more serious subjects and your focus is different. Where in a comedy, your job is to have fun and hopefully tell jokes and make people laugh. And I've been very fortunate to have great TV families. The crew, the group and the crew and everybody we had on Superior Donuts was amazing. I didn't know any of those people going into it, and we all became fast friends, and they were just wonderful people. On Bless This Mess, I'd worked with Dax Shepard before, and so I was just thrilled that he and I would get to hang out on a regular basis. And then, as it turned out, everybody on that show was just fantastic. I don't know if I have ever paired hand in glove or worked with any actor as well as I did with Lennon Parham. She and I were husband and wife, and it was just glass. I mean, working with her was you hate to say as good as it gets, but for whatever reason, our chemistry and our understanding of each other's characters and our jobs on the show just fit so well, and we had a real intrinsic understanding of what the other person needed and where they were going. It was kind of like no look basketball all day long. That was a rare thing to have with her, and I dare say it'll probably happen again. I don't know how, but we were so good together and had so much fun together that it just has to happen again. Now, and in terms of the Goldbergs, I've known some of those people for a long time, like Jeff Garland. I've known since 1989, going back to Chicago, and then Wendy McClendon and I have been married twice. She and I did an episode in television.
Right.
She and I did an episode in show business. She and I did an episode of Kath and Kim, where we were married swingers. And then she and I were married in a movie called Wailing. And then I had worked with her years ago on Reno 911. I mean, that's going back, gosh, 15 years at least or more. So
Right.
yeah, sometimes you get lucky to play with people that you've known forever.
Yeah.
And that's a joy. I remember this season we did a scene an episode where Tim Meadows was on it, and I've known Tim Meadows since 1987. Let's see, there's just a ton of people that were on that. Jessica Sinclair is now my wife on the Goldbergs, and she and Lennon Parham are best friends in real life. So that's interesting that I'm married to both of them in the TV world. So things like that happen are just a real treat.
Right. And of course, the cool thing is when you have these creators and they create different things, I mean, it's almost like the Happy Days things where, your character, Bill, gets a chance to go visit the school set, go see
Yeah.
Tim and stuff like that too. So I do always enjoy how those worlds kind of interchange too. I was actually talking to Kat Dennings a couple days ago for WandaVision, and the whole idea is somewhere in there they're creating their own reality with TV shows. So, if there was a TV show or something you would like to try or live in, what do you think it would be? I mean, would you, after playing these characters, are you someone who's like, it's time for Downton Abbey? I need to be proper
no.
and prim.
No.
Is that's not where you want to
No.
go? You don't want like Game of Thrones,
No.
the sword, nothing?
No. I mean, to be honest, no. That seems like a lot of work to me. Swords. I mean, wearing a skirt and a sword all day long, not my thing. Outlander, something like that, not where I need to be. Comedy is my stronger suit. So if you're asking me what I'd love to do, I'd love to be the lead of a sitcom next. Now there's going to be a lot more heavy lifting because you've got most of the work, but I'd say that's on the horizon. I'm just going to call it out. I don't know what it is. It's going to happen. And some small comedies, the leading
Okay.
some small comedies. I'm writing 3 screenplays now, which is probably not the best approach. You should probably write one at a time, not three at a time. So I'm very fortunate that my plate's very full, like that. I'm writing screenplays. I don't develop television necessarily for myself. I've done it 3 or 4 times. It's a tougher road, but with those so many brilliant minds out there, let's just call it into being that I'm going to be the lead in some sitcom very
Well,
soon.
I'm
I
looking
don't know.
forward to it. In a
Me
world
too.
of
I can't wait. Hey, when it happens, you and I will get together and talk again.
yes, let's do
I'll
that.
let you know.
Let's talk about that. I am very excited. I'm seeing a lot of stuff out there in the streaming world. So I hope, more importantly, that you get a chance to do it, and more importantly, they bought a full season and it's going to stream, and everyone can eat it up really quickly or eat at a slow pace, whatever they want as well. So we'll definitely look forward to that. And I think you do deserve your own comedy, and to be the big chief, or the big I don't know what kind of big. Trying to think of other metaphors that are safe for television, but yeah, the big
Boss. Let's
enchilada.
just say boss.
The boss as well. And of course, speaking of voice work as well, we're also going to look forward to your voice in Marmaduke too, right? Or is that
All right. That's I don't know. You know, a film, animated film takes a lot longer, so I don't know when that's going to finish up.
right? Well, we will look forward to that too. And besides that, we will look forward to everyone get a chance to watch the right one. And more importantly, just catch up with you whenever they can. As I mentioned, Angie Tribeca is definitely one that people should watch. I think there was a lot of heart and emotion put into that character. But more importantly, everything you've done has a memorable quality for everyone who has ever watched it. So I thank you very much, and I hope everyone in your life is happy and healthy.
Right on. Thank you. Same to you, friend.